Hi everybody and very welcome to yet another live stream. I hope you're doing absolutely fantastic wherever you are. Wait, I will be connecting my microphone. Make sure that you have the best available. There we go. So that's it. That should be better. Anyway, this live stream today, guys, I want to point out a couple of things. First of all, and with a happy note to it, if you go down here in the description of this video, you'll see that I have just started to provide some merchandise. Basically, I've gotten a lot of questions from you guys about if I can make t-shirts and things like that, but I haven't really had the time to set up a proper store. But now, thanks to YouTube's and thanks to Teespring, we can do that automatically. So I've done a couple of designs of t-shirts, some leggings, some pillows and stuff like that, and a coffee cup, of course. And if you just click this link here below, you'll go to the store, and then feel free to send in any kind of descriptions that you might have on what you would like to see. At the moment, they're a little bit limited on what they have. I also have another couple of designs that I will be kind of saving for my Patreons. So those of you who are in my Patreon crew, please start updating your shipping addresses because I am creating some special merchandise that I'm going to send out to you absolutely for free, of course. So that's the first news, right? The second thing that I want to talk about is Article 13 that the European Parliament is discussing about bringing into law and how that might affect channels like the Mentour Pilot channel or Captain Joe or any kind of creator that you see in the European Union today. So that's another thing that we're going to talk about. And then I'm hoping to get a lot of questions as well regarding the video that I've just released about the 737 MAX update. So if you have questions about that, things that you're wondering about, if you haven't seen the video, then after you've seen this, go and check it out. I've just released it a couple of hours ago, and I really hope that you will like it. All right. Cool. So that's what I wanted to say. Let's see. And as always, guys, you can use the super chat if you want to highlight a question, something that you think is really important, or you can just put in. I see there's a lot of you already that's sending in questions. Let's see. There's actually not too many of you here yet. I wonder if the Cool. Guys, first of all, can you see me here? Because it seems like there's precious little people that's actually turned up, and that's normally not a good sign. But you guys can see me. Just say yes if you see me. All right? All right. Cool. It seems like there's at least a few here. All right, cool. Excellent. All right, so the first thing that I want to talk about is Article 13. Okay, so what's happening in the European Union at the moment is that the European Union is trying to do their best to help with copyright law, to make sure that people's copyrights is not infringed, which is a great thing. That's something that we're all hoping for. Everyone that's creating content doesn't want their content copied, all right? But the problem is that right now, YouTube, the way that it's designed is that YouTube, under the Article 13 legislation, would be liable for everything that's being uploaded. So if there's a copyright breach within the European Union, then YouTube would be liable for that, and not the guy who's doing the copyright infringement. And YouTube has gone out and said that if this goes into law, what we're going to do is we're going to stop creators from uploading content from within the European Union to make sure that we comply with the law, basically. And specifically, that's channels that are using clips from, for example, news organizations, and I do that. You know, if there's a big news article about a specific aircraft accident or incident that's happening, I'm going to do that. And I also use some segments from other YouTubers, which I then put a description, you know, a credit in the description of the video, making sure that, you know, you guys, after you've seen the video, you can go in and you can check it out and you can see the full-length video. There are normally some fantastic creators out there that I feature, but if this legislation goes through, that will not be allowed anymore. And what will happen is that channels like mine and other similar channels within the European Union is just going to get shut down. So it's really, really important, guys, that you get the Mentour Aviation app, because if this happens to YouTube, then the only way that I'll be able to create content is by uploading it through my own app and then making sure that you guys get those videos anyway. And also that you lobby. that you contact whoever is in government in your country and tell them that you think that this is horrible. I have a link here in the description as well to the Save My Internet campaign that YouTube and other giants are doing. Of course, this is not, they're not doing this because they love content creating. They're doing this because they want to save their business model. But still, it's worth to lobby. It's worth to push that you guys want to make sure that channels like mine continue to exist. So do that. Right. So those were the two things that I wanted to bring up first of all. I'll talk. There's some super chats here that I will start to answer, and the first one I can see that was posted even before we started was from Khaled saying best wishes. Well, thank you. That's great. Thank you for your support of the channel. Anna is asking, hi Mentor, I watched a fascinating video of a Boeing undergoing a D-check maintenance procedure. Where do airplanes go for these intense checks and who does it? Well, that depends. Some major airlines, they have their own maintenance facilities. They have their own maintenance hangars, and some of them are equipped to do it themselves. British Airways, for example, that you probably saw the D-check of the 747. It's a fascinating video. They can do it themselves. Ryanair can do it themselves. I think EasyJet have the facilities to do it themselves as well. So they will do it in their own maintenance hangars, but it's extremely, extremely time consuming. Smaller operators might have to actually ship it off to a Boeing facility to get it done. And there are also some major maintenance hub. For example, in Turkey, I think there's one, in the US, obviously, where you can fly your aircraft and schedule a D-check, which will take a good month or two, I think. That will go through the entire aircraft. And a D-check is something that an aircraft normally doesn't go through maybe more than once, because when it comes up to the second D-check, it's just not worth to keep doing it anymore. So they tend to be scrapped by that, because the D-check is the most labor-intense, most thorough check that an aircraft can ever go through. I think. You might, if I'm wrong on that, then let me know. Cool. Xantec, thank you for supporting. If you had a question, go into the Mentor Aviation app and then go to submit feedback and send me the question. Just put super chat in the listing, and I'll be able to answer it there. So Ballas Pola is asking, how soon after takeoff can you start a turn? The absolute minimum turning altitude is about 158 feet, I believe. It's about a wingspan up, but we do not start turning below 400 feet unless there's a very, very good reason to it. So 400 feet tends to be the minimum turning altitude if you're flying larger category aircraft like the 737 or up. Jonathan Price, what's your opinion on the current NOTAM system? You probably have to troll through dozens for each leg. Do you have a way of visualizing them? Yeah, the NOTAM system is an old dinosaur system that is still left from, well, it's always been there. It's always been looking the same. So it stands for Notice to Airmen. And basically, it's a long list of things that we need to know about any airport or air structure that we go through. So there are en route NOTAMs concerning airways, concerning airspaces, concerning military airspaces, strikes. When the French decide to strike, then that will be in that segment. And then you go into the airport that you're going from and you check that one, and they will have everything from there's no lubricant available to for jet A1 call this telephone number, for that call that number, everything until the runway is closed, or the ILS is not working, or this navigate is not working. So built into this massive amount of text, there are some extremely important bits of information. So we do have to stroll through everything. But what you do after a while is you kind of get trained into looking for certain things. Those are things like, for example, navigates being runway changes, runway closures, taxiway closures, or warnings. Otherwise, the rest you kind of just scroll over and let it go. Right, so yeah, for me it goes quicker now. In the beginning of line training, I remember I had to read through and understand every single line, and that can take you it can take you hours to go through a 4-sector day where you have to go through the NOTAMs from every single airport. So yeah, I'm not a big fan of the NOTAM system. I think it should be updated into something more visual, and especially it should be graded into things that are absolutely crucial and things that are good to know. So then you can kind of, I can check the good to know later. Now for the planning bit, I need to know that the airport is working. So that's the answer to that. Cool. more questions here. I will come up and take some normal questions without super chat in a moment, but I always prioritize the super chat, so I have to do them first. Is that you wearing the Mentour leggings from Scott Bromley? Of course it is. I have those gorgeously formed legs. No, that was actually my wife wearing them. No, it isn't. It's a standard model from from Teespring, all right. But my wife did design those leggings because I'm not that much into female work or training wear. But thanks for asking anyway. My wife do think that I have gorgeous looking legs though. She's very jealous of them. What's your vision on aviation for the next 10 years? Yeah, my vision of aviation in the next 10 years are very positive because at the moment there are a lot of there are a lot of unfulfilled orders that will be coming into fruition during the next couple of years, and those has to be flown by someone. There is no like one pilot system on the horizon or no pilot system on the horizon yet. So I think for the next 10 years or so, unless there is a major conflict, a war of some sort breaking out, or some kind of oil crisis where the oil prices shoots through the roof, I think that the aviation business is going to look well. Now, the last couple of years have been fantastic. It's been the best 2-3 years of my career so far when it comes to pilot employment. I think that we will, since the economy is always working in curves, we will come into a sort of a recession soon. So there is a potential for the next 2 years or so that we will see some more airlines going bankrupt or being bought up by other airlines. That is always a possibility. But I think that is going to be a minor dip in the overall positive outlook. That's what I think. Then, like I said, anything can happen. The aviation industry is known for being very volatile and very hard to predict. So I might sit here and say this today, and then something like September 11th can happen tomorrow, and everything goes out the window. So I'm going to put that in as a warning. But from the overall outlook, from what we can see now, it's looking very good. Santec, I don't have your app. Sorry, it's a different type rating. Is there a different type rating between 77400 and the 800? No, it's not. The type rating stays the same. So me, for example, I have a type rating that covers 737-300 to 900, and soon it will be 737-300 to max. But in between each of these type ratings, you have to do a difference training. Now, that's what I mentioned in the video that I posted earlier on today, that the difference training did not cover the MCAS system in the 737 MAX for different reasons. Boeing decided that was not a system that they wanted to emphasize on. It wasn't even in the FCOM manual. It was there as a background system. It's not anymore. Now it's very much highlighted, obviously. But you know, there are changes. There are differences between each type, between each variant of the type. So it is very important that you do proper type conversions variant conversions in between the types, and that's what we're going to have to do as well. Before I can start flying the 737 MAX, I'm going to have to do a course, a fairly long course. It's going to be CBT based. There's no simulator training required, but there is a difference training, and you know, the different engines, different amount of emergency exits. It's a higher landing gear. It's the MCAS system, obviously, and things like that. So there's loads of things to learn. Okay, can you please tell some good flying schools in the US for CPL from Meyer Babiska? And there are loads of them. Like literally, I don't know them personally. I haven't been to the US actually. I haven't seen their training structure. Well, I've been to the US, but I haven't been there as a flight student. There are thousands of them. Okay, if you go into the Mentour Aviation app, once again, there is a video called Flight Schools, and in that video, I have listed everyone in the app who is from a particular country, who's doing their training in a particular flight school, and you can see their app nickname and just go into the chat and ask them. So just go in and look under USA there, see if there's some people in there that want to promote or talk about their flight school, and check it out. But there are some famous ones. Embry-Riddle is one of them. It's a very good flying university. You know, I have only heard positive things about them, so check that out. I think they're quite pricey though, but like literally there are thousands of them, and I don't know all of them. Hi Mentor, from Dog Polly. Hey Dog, great to see you here again. Airplanes may be immune to casual hackers, but Stuxnet, state-created accomplished malware, destroyed unnetworked Iranian uranium centrifuges. Is it possible rogue states could do similarly? Yes. I mean, when it comes to hacking, I don't know if that's shown through, but my specialty is not IT. Okay, computer hacking things. What I did was I gathered as much information as I could about hacking of aircraft, about what has happened before, and I talked about that in the video, right? But when it comes into specific malwares and what they can and cannot do, and if they would be uploaded with a, let's say, a software update of the aircraft, and that would come in, it's perfectly possible that that would be able to create havoc. I do, however, think that if they would do that, unless it was specifically designed to attack an aircraft in flight, it would probably destroy everything already from the beginning. So the aircraft would be rendered useless as we started it up. But what hackers can and cannot do is not for me to say. I just want to say that it's very unlikely, and I don't really see the point of attacking a single aircraft other than for pure terrorism, or I can't really speak more about it, to be honest. It's perfectly possible that they could. So, Nitro3307, what's your opinion on the Concorde 2 being developed by Northrop Grumman? Well, anything that has Concorde in it and a second variant would be good in my eyes. I haven't seen that particular project. I've seen the Boom project and how that's progressing. I think it looks good. Now there's going to have to be some quite heavy legislation changes, both in the US and in Europe and bigger part of the world, to allow supersonic aircraft to go supersonic over land, which was the problem with one of the problems with Concorde. But sure, I know that Donald Trump has actually put in a request to the FAA to start looking into changing that legislation, so that might be a step in the right direction. Which is one of many few that he's made so far. But yes, it's going to be very interesting to see, and I highly doubt that we will see a commercial market without supersonic aircraft if we look into a 10 to 15 years plan. You do have gorgeous looking legs. But sir. Rice Chandler, in 2018 shouldn't be a notice to air person. Yeah, true. Gender specific is not the right way to go. Here's my weekly 5. Question: window or aisle seat? Q: pineapple or pizza or not? And Q: takeoff or landing? All right. Window seat, not pineapple on pizza, and landing. Landing is my favorite. To do landings takeoffs is good because you get the acceleration, you feel the power of the engines, you really feel how the aircraft want to jump off the ground and you can take off. It's great. But landings, that's when you do the fine work. That's where it shows whether or not you are an artist when it comes to flying or not, right? Because landings, especially crosswind landings, especially in heavy turbulent conditions, that's where you really need to show your colors. So I'd say most pilots would probably say that they enjoy the landings the most, providing that they're good at what they do. And the 737 is famously very hard to land. It's said to be, the 800 and 900 are said to be the hardest types in the Boeing family to land. If you can land them, you can land all other Boeing types as well. Mainly because they're so long. They were designed to be much shorter, much more compact, and now they're long. Both the wingspan and the body has been prolonged, so their handling is not as great as it was designed to be in the beginning, which makes them hard to land, especially in crosswind conditions. They have low tail clearance, things like that. So I do enjoy that. I do enjoy the challenge of it. Right. So, hi. Have you ever been asked? Sorry, from Les Chase. Have you ever been asked to sign a will or something like this of this nature as a captain? Can do so if I understand it right. No. Now, generally, that would be someone who is about to die on board, and when someone is about to die on board and need to have something signed, I mean, my primary concern with someone who's dying is to get the aircraft down, to get them to a doctor, to try to get them to not be dying. So no, I haven't had to sign any wills. I haven't wed anyone. Something. Those are rights that I have as a captain. But they are only really to be used in under emergency circumstances. And the thing, it's not like a boat captain who might have time in between in an emergency to do stuff. Yeah, an aircraft captain does not. Right, so it's very rare unless it is a special occasion and some crew wants to do it or something like that, and you can do it as kind of a fun thing. But no, I haven't. Right, so Coleman Lee, how does fly-by-wire work? Are monitors required? Fly-by-wire is actually just a system description of the fact that the flight controls are not physically connected to the flight surfaces. So it's computer input that goes to a computer that then decides how the rudders and the ailerons are going to respond to the input. That's fly-by-wire. Now, yes, they are monitored. Boeing has, well, a certain philosophy. A Boeing philosophy is that the ultimate authority should always rest with the pilot. That's the Boeing philosophy. The Airbus philosophy is slightly different. I don't know exactly how they word it, but there is some overarching steps there, which doesn't, in normal mode, in normal law, doesn't allow the Airbus to do certain things under certain circumstances. It's not like you think that the that the Airbus computer will come in and say, no, I'm not going to do that when an aircraft wants to turn. No, I'm going to do it this way. No. It's under circumstances where it's, like, for example, a very large bank angle is being asked, or an inappropriate airspeed is being taken out. That's when the computer is stepping in and stopping it and saying that, no, not I'm gonna go here, but no longer. So it's more complicated than you think. And then you have alternate law, which was what happened to the Air France 447 guys. When the Airbus computer starts to get strange signals, like if the alpha vane would be broken on one of those aircraft, well then it will jump from normal law to alternate law, and that would basically say, hey, there you go, pilots, you fix it. I don't know what's going on. You can figure it out and do it. And that's similar to how we fly Boeings all the time, which is basically, you fix it, and then I might come in and warn you if you do something stupid or are about to do something stupid. Right, I hope that answers your question. Jakob Rosensköld, tjena, hoppas allt är bra. Bästa kanalen, vad händer om ett flygplan förlorar båda motorerna över Atlanten? Det är väl inga landningsbanor där direkt. Kärlek från Sverige. Alright, so translated that is best channel. Well, thank you. What happens if an aircraft loses both engines over the Atlantic? There are no landing strips there. And love from Sweden. No, if you lose both engines over the Atlantic, you are basically, the only thing you have to do is either find a runway if there is a small island close to it. The Atlantic Glider, if you haven't seen that documentary, it's a fantastic documentary. They actually had an airport within landing distance when that happened to them. But if not, there's only ditching. Right, we have a checklist for ditching. It's something that I want to avoid at any cost, because ditching in the Atlantic is not like ditching in the Hudson River or any flat surface. You will have to deal with waves there, and waves that can be several meters high. So the chance of a successful water landing in the Atlantic where everyone survives is very low, right? It's very low. So ditching is not, that is a last resort when you can't do anything else. I mean, Sully decided to do it in the Hudson when he realized that he didn't have enough engines to pull him forward, and he didn't have enough altitude to reach a landing strip, and he was in a heavily densely populated area. That's when he decided that no, I'm not going to risk any casualties on the ground. I'm going to find a place where there's no risk of that, and the Hudson was the only viable reason, because he was over New York. So it's not like our first thought if we lose both engines is, oh, where is water? No, if we lose both engines, first of all, it glides great. It's 1 to 15 to 1 to 17 glide. So that means that if I lose the engine at 30,000 feet, I have about 90 miles or so to choose. So within 90 miles, normally over mainland Europe, you have an airport. So I will look at that. I will start preparing. My pilot monitoring would start trying to get the engine started. We have checklists for that. But I will, as pilot flying, focus on, all right, that's the airport. That's the runway. These are as many miles I have. This is as much I'm descending each minute. Let's see how much do I need to turn in order to come in to have a reasonable amount of energy to be able to stop within that landing distance. That's what I will be doing. And there might be videos coming up on that if you stay tuned to the channel, and then you're good people out there. Cool. So Kevin Gilliard, hi Mentor, can you explain how pilot manage the heading when it's flying over the North Pole? The current magnetic pole moving, it's so close to it. Yeah. We don't do that with my aircraft. Our maximum and minimum latitude is 82 degrees north and south. There are systems that can maintain this, right? We can't obviously fly on magnetic heading. You'll have to be true heading in that case. And I believe that the IRSs can be sorted to actually do that. But the actual technical explanation to it, well, GPS works perfectly. But the technical how to find your true heading through your normal instrumentation up there, I don't have off the top of my head because I don't do it. So I'll be happy to look it up if you want to, but I think you'll probably be as quick as me in looking it up. Cool. So, Pulustaya Parek, hi. Just saying hi. Arrived in Stockholm from India. This is my first time in Sweden. Wow, excellent. Well, I hope you enjoy Stockholm. It's starting to get cold up there now. I hope the weather is okay for you. Make sure you go and check out the Vasa ship. All right, the Vasa Museum is something that you really need to see. But then just go and have a stroll around the old town and get a cup of extremely expensive coffee and just enjoy yourself. All right. Bitvalug 1. Hi Mentor, do you have any information related to CAA issued licenses validity for EASA state aircraft after Brexit? Not more than what has been issued. Basically at the moment, if there's a case of no deal Brexit, then the licenses in the UK will not be recognized by the authorities outside of the UK. So you'll be able to fly on UK registered aircraft to other countries that you have a bilateral agreement with, but you wouldn't be able to take a job outside of the UK with a UK license without converting it to an EASA license. Basically, that's what they were saying. But that's in the case of a no-deal Brexit, and a no-deal Brexit, that's not good for anyone involved. Okay, so we're still hoping for a deal Brexit, and sorry, and that's what at this point, no one really knows what's going to happen. I wouldn't be too worried though, because these things, when they're in discussions, when they're like head to head and they're trying to come up with a deal, they will threaten with these things. It is in no one's interest that happens. And of course, the UK has been part of the EU for 27 years or something. They have the same rules. They have the same application of ICAO that the EASA does. So a conversion wouldn't be a problem, shouldn't be a problem, and actually the UK licenses should be recognized by the EASA countries as well. Anything else would be stupid. That's it. All right, let's take some questions from the normal chat as well here. There's so many of them. What's the maximum minimum landing weight for a 737? That's minimum, there is none. All right, you have your zero fuel weight and then you add on your crew, and that's your minimum landing weight. Maximum is let's see, it is depending on the aircraft you're in, because depending, I mean, we have some aircraft that have 77-990. No, sorry, I'm talking out of my ass. Let's see, 65317 rings bell. I'm getting a brain fart now. I'll get back to you very shortly on that. 65317 is the number that it comes out. I'm thinking about maximum takeoff weight. That's what I was blubbering about before. Right. Do you? So much questions, guys. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take some from the Mentour Aviation app instead. I hope you have the app, right? because like I said, if Article 13 kicks in Europe, then I will still continue to give you the content that I'm making. I'm about to make some really good content for you guys, because there's some news coming out. I can't tell you already, but it's quite exciting. So there will be some really great content coming out, hopefully within the next couple of months. And if YouTube would completely shut down, well, then the Mentour Aviation app will still be there. So I'll be able to upload and hopefully be able to make the app into a streaming service as well, so that I can give you the content that you want, even if my channel would disappear from YouTube. But I'm really hoping that won't be the case. Masvas, we've actually been in you approximately 40 years. Sorry, right? 27 was just a guess. Do you like cheese? Yes, I do. I love different kinds of cheese. Not the strongest ones, but the medium ones. They're great. The strongest French ones, because I live just on the French border, and when I go to Bordeaux or something and try their strongest cheeses, that makes my eyes water. But but yes, I do like cheese. Hi Mentor, hope you're keeping well. Can you give me a big shout out to your engineering team in Dublin? Oh yes, my engineering team in Dublin. Well, the engineering team for the airline that I work for, which are partly based in Dublin, are doing a fantastic job. Engineering is one of those things that you might think is easy. But it's an extremely complicated operation. For an airline the size of the airline that I'm working for, just to plan the engineering of the aircraft, that needs to be done both every day, which is done on local level on different bases, but then the bigger maintenance checks. Imagine that the aircraft needs to be kind of rotated out into the network, and then it has to be back at a specific time at our maintenance facilities to be done, to do their maintenance. Only the planning to do that is, I can't even wrap my head around it. And then the level of maintenance that we do have in my airline is something that is beyond fantastic. I very rarely fly with an aircraft that has a single heel item on them, and that is down to the dedication and hard work of you guys who are doing that. So yes, a huge shout out to not only the engineers in my airline, but all you dedicated engineers out there who are busting your ass to get pilots like me flying every day. We do appreciate all the job you do, believe me, and all of the stupid questions that we can ask you when we call you as well. Right. Have you ever flown a Zeppelin or a blimp? No. Would you like to? Yes. I would like to try it. It seems cool. There are actually some really interesting projects being done with airships right now that's actually going to be able to fly at a fairly good speed, and obviously carry passengers at a very comfortable way for long distances. And if someone out there are making airships and want to show me, then just contact me. I'd love to do a video about that, because it looks like some seriously cool engineering going forward. So, do pilots have any protocol if the plane is hijacked? Yes, of course there are. We do have plans for that. We do have very strict training for that, and what we can expect to happen and not happen, and how to operate and stuff like that. But these things, especially when it comes to security procedures and how we would deal with it, this is not something that I can share. Okay, safety procedures are company specific, and they're highly classified, because if I start talking about it, then of course a potential hijacker would be able to adapt their strategy to our strategy, and that's not something that can be done. So yes, flight crew are trained. They're trained differently in different airlines. They have different things to think about and to do, but it's not something that I will ever disclose. It's same as talking about the security door and the locks to the cockpit and things like that. I can't do that, and why would I? It's certain things are better left alone. Hej, hur mår du? Vilken stad kommer du ifrån? From Nathaniel. That's which city are you from in Sweden? I am from Örnsköldsvik, the beautiful city of Örnsköldsvik, up the northern coastline in Sweden. If you ever have a chance to go up there, we do. It's a fantastic city. My family doesn't live there anymore. They live a little bit more south, down in Timrå. But I love to go back to Örnsköldsvik whenever I have a chance to root for my favorite hockey team, Modo Hockey, who are not doing great at the moment, but they will eventually. Do you like Boeing or Airbus better? Well, I'm a Boeing guy. I love my Boeing aircrafts. I like their design philosophy, so Boeing at the moment. But having said that, I would love to get my hands on an Airbus 350 and try that big boy out as well, because it looks astonishing. Right, so there's some super chats coming up. Right. Do you think Boeing should be redesigned the 757? It was an absolute workhorse. Airbus have nailed it with the A321neo and the long range. The 757 is one of the most beautiful aircraft ever built. Right? I love the 757. Every time I see it, I look at it. It's one of those aircraft that you just can't stop looking at. It's beautiful from every single angle. With the landing gear out, with the landing gear in, when they're coming in for approach, when they're taking off, every time. However, I think that Boeing, if they thought that it would be a good idea to redesign the 757, they probably would have. Same with the 767. I think that the 757 was replaced by the 787. It does the same, takes the same amount of passengers, even more, obviously more passengers. So even though it's sad to say, I think the 757 is on its way out together with the 747, unfortunately. So, can the yokes be separated and work independently in case of pilot incapacitation? Yes and no. If what can happen is that if a yoke gets let's say that it gets stuck, right? Then the other pilot can break his or her yoke out. So that's mainly for roll control. The captain have the control of the ailerons if that happens, and the first officer will have control of the flight spoilers, so that you can still, even with a jam, you can still have control. In case of pilot incapacitation, I mean, there would be a very strange incapacitation if the incapacitated pilot was holding on to the to the yoke. Normally that means that the pilot is slumping over or being moved backwards. So it's not a huge problem. It's more for an actual break in the system where one control gets jammed. Then yes, you can break out the other yoke. Kevin Hickey, you're a legend, Petter. Have a brilliant day, and thank you for your incredible content. Oh, thank you. Thanks, Kevin. I want to say a huge thank you to all of you guys that is making this channel as good as it is. I'm starting to figure out what you guys want now, what kind of content you have in mind, and I'm going to be making more of that content. There is, like I said, there are some news, there's some stuff that's going to come out soon that I hope that you really like, and that also goes for the Mentour Aviation app. Okay, I will be making more content for the app coming up soon, and that's going to be still paid content, alright? And that's because I need that. The next update of the app is likely to go in the tens of thousands of euros to do, and the proceeds from you guys goes towards the app development and, you know, for the company upkeep. So but there are, I know that I haven't created much lately, and there will be coming more, and obviously that is going to then drip through into the channel as well. So expect some more, some fairly cool things coming up very shortly. Okay, so stay tuned to the channel. And let's see. I think I'm gonna have to go very soon, guys, because if you haven't heard, I'm losing my voice. And what I'm doing is I'm going to Stansted tomorrow because I have my own check. Alright, I have my own license proficiency check on Wednesday. I have my training day in the sim on Tuesday. And that is something that I have to be well prepared for. I've spent a day reading up on things that I'm going to have to prepare for, and then I'm going to be concentrating on doing well in the sim. So I have to go and get a good night's sleep before I go to Stansted. But I want to remind you all of a couple of things. A, if you want to get yourself a absolutely fantastic team t-shirt, then here, description of the video, once again, go in and check out the merchandise that I have created so far. I would love to have feedback, and even if you want, if you have designs stuff, if you want, if you have a, you know, an idea of what I think that this kind of Mentour merch would be really cool, well then use the email address inside of the app or mentor.pilot@gmail.com and send it to me, and I can create that and put it out. All right, because I'm bubbling with ideas, but I at the end of the line, it's what you guys want that is important. And what I would love to see as well is that if you do buy the merchandise, then take a picture of yourself and send it to me. so I can add it out on social media and stuff to show that there's more and more people joining up in the Mentor crew all the time. So check out the link down here. I really hope that you will like it, and if you don't, then tell me and I will find some other way. And all of you Patreons out there, there's some special stuff being made for you guys, and you don't have to pay for that. Okay, obviously. Right, I'll take the last couple of questions here from the super chat before I go. Hi Petter, when and why did you decide to make videos? They are awesome. Thank you for all your hard work. I decided about 3.5 years back. I decided because I realized that people who wanted to have some positive and unbiased information about aviation couldn't find that. You know, if you went out on YouTube or on the internet, the only thing you could find is like Peep Room, and the only people that you would find would be people who went there to vent their frustration with being a pilot. So you got a very negative picture of what being a pilot was like. And I thought, that's unfair. I'm happy. I really like my job. I'm an instructor. I could probably do something. And that's why I started. So the very first video I've ever made was the life quality of an airline pilot. Go and check that out if you want to see how I started my very first video. Life quality of an airline pilot. Search for that. All right. That's how bad I was. Right. And then I have learned by a lot of work and a lot of feedback from you guys how to make better and better videos. But that's how it started. I wanted for you guys to have someone to turn to, someone to ask that, you know, didn't think that any question was stupid. I thought that there are a lot of people who wants to be pilots. Those are the ones I'm catering for. And then I realized that there's a lot of people out there who are just interested in aviation and want to know more. I want to cater for them. And the third group that I really want to work with is people who are afraid of flying. People who feel that flying is the worst thing in the world, that are really nervous, they start sweating by just thinking about it. Well, I'm hoping that the videos that I'm making and I'm going to make is going to help you feel better and you know, realize that this industry is among the safest industries in the entire world. You can't find a single other industry, well, maybe the nuclear power plant industry, that has so much safety procedures and so much safety thoughts behind everything that they do. And that's what I want to try to convey to you guys and explain what all of those funny sounds are, why the aircraft look like it does, why do they say this, why does it ding here, all of those things. I'm trying to explain in a way that you feel that you can kind of relax when you get on board an aircraft, and that's also my wish with this. Rich Murrow, what does it mean with a drift down? A drift down is a procedure that we do in case of an engine failure over high terrain to maximize the altitude for as long as possible to get away from the terrain. So if you have an engine failure over the Himalayas, for example, then the single engine service ceiling of the aircraft might not be high enough. So with the 737, for example, we tend to have a single engine service ceiling that's as high as you can keep on one engine of about 25,000 feet. If you fly over a mountain that's higher than 25,000 feet, but obviously if your engine fails, then you will hit the mountaintop unless you do it right. So there is specific procedure to make sure that you maximize the amount of thrust available and the speed that you have, and maximize the time available up high to get as far as possible. And that's a drift down procedure. So, Sydney, Kenson, Petter, ever got an eye on the PMDG Boeing 737, and what do you think of that as a real-world pilot of their system simulation quality? No, I haven't looked at the quality of the simulation. I've looked at some of their models, and they're stunning. They're fantastic. Very, very lifelike, very, very close to reality. How it actually reacts and interacts is going to be hard for me. I've never seen it, and I can't really speak about that. But I do think that they're getting very close to reality when it comes to system response and things. So, you know, all of these new simulators, they're competing with each other, and they know that you guys know what you're talking about, and that you watch channels like mine, so that you can call them out if they're doing something that's not correct. So they're going to be just better and better and better all the time. Guys, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go into the Mentour Aviation app. Okay, as you can see, there's loads of messages being sent. I'm going to take some questions here. now from the Mentour Aviation app. But then I'll be in there and I'll be inside of the chat and I'll take some questions. And you can always go in there. Just tag @Mentour, and if I'm available, I will be answering you. If not, someone else might be answering you. There's loads of actual real life pilots in there from all over the world now. There are pilot students. They love to answer questions and help you. If you're looking for flight schools or things like that. They will be able to help you for questions, whatever it might be, like why do aircraft have wings or what to stabilize it for. Things like that will be explained by someone who knows what they're talking about inside of the app now. And especially on Sundays, it's a lot of activity in there. So go inside of the app, talk to them, get yourself a nickname. And I want to explain a few things as well. Those of you who have Android devices, all right? When I made the app and I did the collections, that I realized that Android devices, they're walking from really high specs to really low specs, which is why there are 3 different resolutions available for all of the videos. All right. So if you download a high resolution video and it doesn't play on your device, that's because your device can't hack it. Then you go into settings. You delete that, and you download it again at the lower resolution. Then once you've bought a collection, you can download it and remove it as many times as you like. It's yours to keep, okay? That's also to save space on the phone. But do that because that is going to solve the problem, all right? Realize that the videos, they are quite big. So if you have limited amount of space on your phone, then you might have to delete them after watching them and then download them again when you need them, all right? So do that. In order to chat, then you need to get yourself a nickname. You can only use small letters. That's to make sure that there's not a mentor with a big M and a mentor with a small m, all right? That's why. So write the name only with small letters, otherwise the big letters will disappear and it will look really weird. That's some of the most common questions. And if you want, since it is Sunday and since I'm celebrating that there's new merchandise out on the channel, I can reduce the price on the total collection again. I do that sometimes. I do a flash sale, which is called, so that if you have the Mentour Aviation app or if you're thinking of getting it and you want to see me do a setup of a 737 from dark until it's ready to taxi, or do an evacuation a rejected takeoff and evacuation, or a TCAS maneuver, or a Cat 3 approach, or a wind shear escape maneuver, then if you get the complete collection, you will get all of that. It's about 2 hours of instruction from me, or engine failures as well, in 360 format. You can either watch it, you can use your phone, and you can kind of scroll around. Maybe I can even show it to you actually, now that we're here. Let's see. To the people outside of the aircraft that we will be pressurizing. Yeah. And that's because when we do so, that's me. If they have and as you can see, for example, to the nose wheel, and it's likely out of place, it might actually snap. You can actually, and that's Polly. So you can scroll around and you can watch everything that I'm talking about inside of the video, right? You can do that, or you can switch it over. If you have a cardboard, you can switch it over and you can put it inside of a cardboard headset and you can see it just like if you're sitting inside of the cockpit together with me. The resolution is not fantastic, and that's because it's 360 video, guys, and I had to compress it down. But what I'm looking for is showing you what we do, what switches we touch and why. We're not looking at what's on the screens or exactly what's written on the buttons or anything like that. You can do that in the 737 PMG anyway, right? So do that. Get the collection, get the total collection, and if I get 50 yeses right now in the chat, I will reduce the complete collection to 50% until tomorrow. All right. So let's see if we can start counting. If I can get 50 yeses, that will happen. Otherwise, we can just go into it. It's still, it's 2 hours. 2 hours. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27. Yes, okay, so I have more than 50. So from now, I will reduce the price from 10 credits if you have iOS or $10 if you have Android to 5 credits. You need to buy credits first if you have iOS. That's Apple, it's not me. They wanted to have it that way. Don't ask me why. And then you go and get the collection. All right? If there's any kind of problem, submit feedback, tell me, and I will fix it. and I will send it to my developers. But that's how it works anyway. I might actually start by showing that next time. So get the collection. Just wait until the price is down to 5. It takes me a second or so to fix it. And I'll see you inside of the chat, okay? I'll be there. You can ask any question that you want. Have a fantastic day wherever you are, guys, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.